Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Homeschool Moms. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Ashley. If you're looking for real, raw, and relatable moms who talk all things homeschool and mom life,
you're in the right place. I have talked a lot about learning styles over a lot on my individual channel, but I think it's a really important topic because we definitely everyone has a kid who may have a different learning style, which could all cater their curriculum and stuff to different kids. So like sometimes when you're in curriculum season and you see all the shiny things and you want to like buy it or buy it all for all your kids, and then you have to sit there and realize like, is that going to work for this one though? So learning styles is going to be the topic today. Do you have any updates to share?
Well, I can share a bomb Nick dropped on me. Not really a bomb, but it was on, it's not crazy, but like on Friday, he was like getting ready to go to work, and I'm busy like in my meetings, and he's like, I think we should take the kids to Disneyland. And I'm like, okay, like do you really know what that all entails? Like, cause he just shows up on our trips. Like I do all the planning. So like for him to just say it so nonchalantly, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's see. So of course though, then it starts like getting in my head. And the reason this got brought up is because Nico has been obsessed with everything Disney lately, like Mickey Mouse. And he's like, I want to go. Mind you, he's been twice, but he was under the age of 1.
Yeah.
My girls have been 4 to 5 times each. And so they're kind of over it, but it's like, this is like prime opportunity for Nico to like go to Disney and remember it. So I was like,
that's still questionable.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like Emma and Mila both went at his age, and they both they remember it at least better than he remembers it as a 1-year-old. But then also we're going to get out of the time frame to where he won't care. Like my girls are over Disney. They don't really care about it. Can we just talk about how stupidly expensive Disney is? Like, I think too, because this is the first time we would pay for all 5 of us to go, because either like Nico was free the last times we went, or the girls were free, or not all 3 kids were going. So this is the first time we would pay for all 5 people. Just 2 days was $1,700. And I like did any freaking cool discount, Costco, Target I could have found. $1,700. Like, what is that? For 2 days. And that's not hotel. Like gas. That is literally the entry tickets into the park. And those are discounted because it's multiple days. It would have been $900 for just the 1 day. So,
well, when Josh and I went, we went on our 10-year wedding anniversary. We went to Florida as like our first kind of trip away from Molly. And we stayed at the beach, but I'm like, I want to do Disney. Like that would be so cool to do without a kid. And we had a blast. I mean, it was like hot. We were sweating from head to toe, but like it was fun. And it was $400 just for both of us to go 1 day with the Hopper pass, because I'm like, well, if we're going to go only for 1 day, we might as well get the Hopper so that we can go to another park or whatever.
Were you in Florida?
Yeah, we were
how did that work out, going to multiple parks in 1 day?
It worked out well for us. But like I said,
you didn't have a kid.
We didn't have a kid, but I found it to be beneficial to do like, I think we did Hollywood Studios first. And because he's a big Star Wars, and they had a really big fairly new Star Wars ride.
Right.
And so we waited a lot. That was like our first thing we headed to that morning. And we still waited, but the line goes fast because there's a lot of people per time on the ride.
Right.
They take really big groups, so it was nice. And then I think we did like the Tower of whatever. I don't even think it's Tower of Terror in Florida. Or no, it's different. It's Guardians, I think, in California.
Yeah.
But it's the Tower of Terror is the old school, like, what is that? I forget. People will know. That thing, you drop.
Yeah. I mean, I know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. And so we did that, and then we hopped, like, cause it was literally 2 of those. And then we were like already ready to like
to leave,
move on, because it was already like 1:00 at that point because we waited in these like 2 really big lines.
Yeah.
So we went to Magic Kingdom on the second half of that, and it was perfect because everyone like left.
Right, because they
So
were
like the
done. They were
park was
exhausted.
empty, and so we waited like maybe at most 10 minutes for any ride we got on, which is nuts, like for being in Magic Kingdom. And it was October. It wasn't like, I mean, I feel like there's no off season with
No,
Disney
they're always
anymore.
busy. It's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really fun. We rode the most rides there, and we kind of saw the fireworks, but we were on a ride not realizing that it was starting. And then we kind of just like left, but after that, but I was so sore
from walking.
I had blister. It was not cool. Like I had blisters for sure on my feet, which sucked because I had the rest of the trip to get through.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a Mustang as a rental car, and so both of us had a hard time squatting to get in that thing from walking all day. So yeah, but anyways,
yeah.
Disney's
I do not like Disney World in Florida. That was not my cup of tea. I am a Disneyland person, and so much easier. I mean, there's still a lot of walking, but much less. I mean, you literally walk to the other park, walk to your hotel. It's nothing like Florida.
Disneyland has that wild Ferris wheel that almost lost my crap on because I was like, there is no way you could pay me to go on that thing where it like moves while you're going around. I'm like, nope. Like I had a hard enough time going on the like stationary one.
Right.
But yeah, we went there when Molly was 1 and 3. She went on both her first birthday, and then we went like when she was like 3.5. But yeah, I mean, I like both. I mean, I am a sucker for Disney World just because there's so much more. But it's definitely expensive.
Yeah. So that's what I'm tasked with planning between it's spring break season right now. So not going during a spring break time. I am coming to Chicago, and then I'm also traveling for work. And so I don't know. We're going to do it.
Well, you're not traveling in April though, right? For work?
No, I'm just traveling to see you in April. And so I'm traveling in May for work. Oh, and then June for our family vacation. So it's like just trying to find like a perfect, like, we're just going to go for 2 days. Like we can drive there. It's super quick to get there. But so that was my update, I guess. That's kind of consuming my mind, just trying to figure all that out. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, this year's, I think, going to be a low-key year. We don't have any, like, trips planned, other than, like, you coming here. I don't really have any plans like that. I mean, I had a bunch of blood work recently. I might be, like, anemic. I don't know. Still waiting on the doctor, but I've lost a lot of hair. I know it really doesn't look like it if you could see me, but, like, I had hair, okay? Like, this is nothing. Yeah. Especially with everything else just going on. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah. That's what, I feel like you have like a lot of health stuff going on. You have that going on. So it's just like an overwhelming time.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to next month, so.
What's next month?
You're coming.
Oh, yes. I cannot believe it's like a month and a half officially away. Coming at the end of April.
Well,
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. What are we going to do?
I have no idea what we're going to do because, like, they're shifting the weather pattern on us, so.
I mean, I won't trust any weather until, like, the week before, to be honest. So.
Yeah. I mean, this guy that I follow, though, he's really good.
Yeah.
If you're in our area, the Chicago weather guy, he's the guy, man. He has a YouTube. He's not even, like, a formal meteorologist. But, like, he is more accurate than the news guys. Like, I don't know what it is, but he is, like, on top of it and knows his stuff. But, like,
that's cool.
He's like, well, this, week, it's going to feel like spring. But then, like, the following weeks, it's going to legit get cold and we might get snow. And there's no, like, he doesn't see warmth for a really long while now after this week. So I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had a cool weather guy because ours is always wrong. Even my phone is always wrong. Like, it will be raining outside and my phone's like, it's sunny and bright. I'm like, definitely not. Thanks, though. Okay. So we are talking about learning styles. And so I'm going to get kind of like into the details so we know what we're talking about. So there are two like official learning style tests. There's the VAK, the VAK, which tests 3 styles, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, which I think that's the one most people are familiar with. Like, are you visual, audio, or do you like to do things? And then the other one, which this is like the newer one, but I think this is like a more accurate one, is called the VARK, VARK, which is visual, aural, AURAL. Can you pronounce it? Because I'm not the best to be pronouncing things.
Aural? That's how I would say it.
Aural. Still doesn't help.
No.
Read
It's
/ write.
AURAL for those
Yeah.
who want to try that on their own.
Yeah, which I think is auditory. When I took the test, I got auditory from that one. And then there's the new one, which is read / write is a learning style, and then kinesthetic. So really, VARK just added the read / write as a learning style. So you can take both of these tests for free. You just have to kind of do some research. There's like a bunch of free options. You just have to kind of find which one works best. There's some that are more for kids, and there's some that is more for like adults. I've taken the test with my kids through a website called Elfango, but I believe you have to pay for that one. So our tests were like a little bit more in depth. I got like printed reports for each of my kids, but I think it's because it was paid for. But I took some quick ones online too. So there are free ones. We'll link down below. So to recap, visuals, obviously you like to see things visually. You like videos, charts, and graphs. Auditory, you hear by listening. So you want somebody to verbally tell you things. Kinesthetic is you want to learn by doing something physically with your body or hands. And then the read / write, you learn best from things written down or by you taking notes and writing things down. So those are kind of the 4 learning styles that are out there. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and how to find them and incorporate them into your homeschool. So Molly is an audio learner. Okay. So let me find my kids, which I think is hilarious because all 3 of my kids are different. And this is why I'm losing my mind all the time. So Emma is a visual learner. But what's interesting is, so she took that first test, which was just audio, visual, or kinesthetic. If I would have had her take that other test, I also believe that read write would be just as high. That's why I think she's visual, because like she needs things written down. She needs to watch it, look at it, and that's definitely how she learns. Nico, do you want to guess what Nico was? Off the charts what he was. Like 0 to like 100 what he... Kinesthetic, like no question, which I know he does not sit down like for anything. So it wasn't surprising, but it's more like confirming like what you know about your kid. And then Mila is just like me. When we take these tests, we get even amounts in all categories. So we and I think it's like ADHD, because like it depends what kind of day it is. Like some days I could just watch videos and learn, and other days I can't focus on a video to save my life. So she was well rounded in all aspects, which is totally her. She can just kind of like adapt to whatever's going on and just be just fine. So I definitely felt like these were super accurate for my kids. But also like this test was really designed for kids to take it. So like the questions that were being asked were very formulated for them. Do you think your results were good for Molly, or accurate?
Yeah, I mean, Molly tested 50% auditory, 25% visual, and 25% tactile. So she's an auditory learner, which makes very, very, very a lot of sense. I mean, it talks about, as an auditory learner, you probably hum or talk to yourself or others if you become bored. People think you're not paying attention, even though you may be hearing and understanding everything being said. And that's her. Like, she could have, like, she learned so much. And I thought for a while it was visual, because she retains so much from TV shows.
Oh.
But I don't think that's the case. I think it just could be anything playing
she's
listening to. because she has always just retained so much from everything that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, I'd have to take it. I don't even know how to guess on me anymore.
Yeah. And I think it changes. I think as adults, we naturally become, I think, more adaptable to all styles because we have to, right? Because we've grown up and things. But I definitely think like I prefer like seeing things written down. And so like some of the questions are like, what do you do first? Like if you buy a piece of furniture, what do you do first? And so like mine is I visually look at the diagram because I can picture like how it should look, but I don't read the instructions, if that makes sense. I just visually like look at the diagram and try to figure it out that way. So I do think the questions are interesting.
Yeah, or like when I was training for my job, I would succeed more in understanding it when I was doing it versus when they were just telling it to me or even showing it to me on their computer screen. Yep. I learned more from when I was going along on my computer screen and then they were telling me,
right,
like step by step what to do.
Yeah.
So it is, I think it's very adaptable in that sense, but I, like her, we don't like the noise around us. Like we have to have quiet, like in order to, so I guess that could make me an auditory learner because you can't have the distraction or the noise or the sounds around you because then you can't listen and focus yourself. Like, cause you're repeating a lot of these things to yourself. So like she learns by reading instructions out loud.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Versus, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I always tell her, if you don't understand the instructions, read it out loud and keep reading it out loud until it makes sense. Because she definitely, like, when she reads it on the paper, she's like lost.
That's
like
crazy.
In her head. Yeah.
Well, so, but saying about the sound, so like me and Mila can literally be like doing a paper, anything, and there could be like a war going on behind us, and we could be talking to somebody and then go back to our work, and we're 1,000% fine. Emma loses her mind. Even if I'm breathing next to her and she's trying to read, she's like, get away from me. And so it's like, I'm stubborn with that because I'm like, I want you to be sitting at our homeschool table. I want you to be in our homeschool room. But she does not do well with it. We are so distracting to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right with her. Like we don't like we can't listen to music. We can't cuz I tried that. I was like, "Oh, we should get like a Google whatever and put it in our room and that way we can like have it there. We could be listening to something like you see on a lot of other people's things." And I'm like, "Nope, we tried it and we were both like, we can't concentrate. We can't work through like what we need to work through."
So did you know that like was part of her learning style, like not being able to have music? Like, did you put that together that was like a thing?
No.
Because that's how she takes in her information. And so if you're playing music, it's like blocking how she learns. That's insane to me. That's so crazy.
But that also explains to me why I can't do audiobooks.
Right.
Because I can do them if I'm laying in my bed, my eyes are closed, and that's all I'm focusing on, and there's nothing going on around me to distract me.
Yeah. You would die, Nikki. I literally will have my audiobook on. Sometimes I'll have the physical book, but I will also sometimes be scrolling on my phone, watching TV, and still like listening to the audiobook. And I'm just fine. Like, it's the weirdest thing that I do. I have a hard time just focusing on one thing, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't be able to just pick up a book and sit there unless I was like completely blocked out from everything else around me.
Now it's so weird how it can change in the environment that you're in though, because like if I'm in the car, I'm an amazing driver. Like I am aware of all my surroundings. I typically know where all the cars are near me at all times. Like I can multitask, I can talk, I can see. My friend made a comment one time because we were driving and we were going to the gym, and I pointed out my husband driving in oncoming traffic going the other way while having a conversation with her and like doing all this. She's like, how does that even happen? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I just know, like, I know that's what his car looks like, and I know, like, he would
Mm-hmm.
probably be coming that way from the doctor. Like, it just,
Right.
I'm able to multitask in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, even when we're down in the schoolroom, like, it has to be organized, and it has to be like, no, and I'm constantly like, no, let me just say what I need to say. Like, don't interrupt
Mm-hmm.
me. I have to get it out. Like, it becomes, like, almost very rigid in a way because I don't want to lose my thought. I don't want to, like, I don't know, get distracted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that, like, because, like, so we're buying the curriculum, like, we're choosing the curriculum. So do you think, too, like, we tend to buy stuff that would be good for ourselves sometimes? Because we're like, that looks great because I think it looks great. But then looking at this, I'm like, actually, that's not going to work for that kid. So, like, that, too. Like, have you ever thought about this when you're buying curriculum?
Yeah, which is why, like, as soon as I took this test, I was like, oh, like, I don't know that she would benefit from video
Right.
thing. And that's maybe why she struggled when we were testing out the video, like, app for her
Mm-hmm.
math because she isn't able to compute it when she's like, it's almost like it's too much to have the visual but then I'm like, but then how does she retain the stuff that she watches on TV? You
Yeah.
know, like, I don't know.
Well,
I
TV is
don't.
different. So, because TV always has sound. I've seen plenty of educational videos where you have to visually be solving the problem on the computer. Like, they'll talk, but then it goes quiet. And then it's
Oh,
do the
yeah.
problem. And so, if it's like that, if the video aspect is more heavy, then yeah, it's not right. But someone maybe reading the lesson to her, telling her how to do it, and then, yeah, then maybe her doing it on paper would probably be better, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Plus, I don't know, like, her speed is always like, with videos, you can't always adapt it to the speed you want to learn it. So, like, that's where her struggle is she'll be like, well, I already know that. And so she's
Mm,
like losing the focus because she's like, well, I don't want to have to listen to that again, or I don't have to
right.
want to see the examples again.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's just impatience or what, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just like, well, I have what I have. And if, like, I think I'm just all in my head because I know she still has not mastered her facts of multiplication and stuff. And so I'm worried that when we move on to next year, she's going to struggle because they're not going to necessarily implement the facts like they did heavily in third grade. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, then boom, 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 we got to get it done before fourth. Like, whether that means that on our break, we're still reviewing facts to make sure we're solid. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm all up in my head about it because I'm stressed for her because I don't know them either. So
You don't know your multiplication facts?
not anymore. I mean,
Oh
I know
my
the
God,
basics.
Nikki.
I
Okay,
know
so
the
apparently
basics.
we're
I
doing
could
all
figure
fact
it out.
practice together. We're gonna have weekly multiplication fact practice calls. No, but really what I was gonna ask you is how are you teaching her the facts? Are you using flashcards? Are you using printed out papers with a bunch of facts on them that she's just completing?
Yeah, I like workbook stuff.
So she's not that type of learner. So why don't you try the either, and I know, because I would never use it, but the musical multiplication from The Good and the Beautiful because it's a song. And see, you always tell me that you skip over the songs. And I think she may be the one that those songs are going to benefit her. You know what I mean? Even I think Times Tales is more video stories. I don't know if it has songs in there, but I'm telling you, even go on YouTube. I bet you there's like multiplication facts songs.
Yeah, or like my way of having her do it is I'm like, you have to say them out loud. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
not just
too.
like, instead of me saying 3 times 1 is what? Like,
Yeah.
then you have to say 3 times 1 is 3 in your
Yeah.
answer. So
Yeah.
that you're like repeating it to yourself like out loud so it makes sense. But I struggled with memorizing my multiplication too. So
Yeah.
I don't know where the disconnect with that is for both of us, but I know my multiplication. It's just I don't necessarily know them all offhand unless
Yeah.
I know, like, I know majority of them.
Yeah.
But if you like ask me what like 9 times 8 is, I'll have to think about it in a second.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. Like, I struggled too because the way I was taught multiplication was, oh my gosh, I remember it so vividly. Our teacher would make us stand up in front of the entire class and say like all the threes, like 3 times everything up to like 12.
What?
And so like you would have to stand up in front of the class and do 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2. And like, of course, once you start getting to like what 6, 7, 8, like those are the hard ones. It was so like humiliating and just like horrible. So I had to teach myself like when I was older. And I learned like all the stupid tricks, like, oh, well, like if the nines, like if you flip them backwards, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and flip them. So like I know all the tricks, and that's how I do multiplication. I don't do it the way that most people were taught.
But she knows her skip counting. That's the stupid part. It's just out of order. She just has
to put it together. Yeah, she just has to put it together.
Out of order, she's just not solid on that.
Yeah, like she just needs a better way to remember them.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's all over the place, but I feel like learning and figuring out what your style is important.
Yeah, I agree. It's good for even like not discipline, but yeah, kind of like communicating to our kids too, because like I'll be like telling Emma, like, Emma, I need you to do this, this, and this. And she'll like dead on stare at me like, what? Like, what did you just say? And I'm like, what do you mean? I just told you what I said. And so for her, I need to get better at like handing her a checklist or like writing her things down so she visually has them to know what she does. And so it's even like just being hyper aware of ourselves and like how we're teaching or giving directions or teaching lessons, I think is really important too.
So do you want to discuss the oral one?
Okay. So what do you want to discuss about it?
Well, I guess I don't know which, like, I don't know what all the ones that you can get, like what the different, here, we have this is just visual.
So oral is auditory, which is, prefers listening to lectures, discussions, and audio recordings is like the main things, learns best through like verbal instructions. Oh, I think I sent you like really like the whole big printouts, right? You're going to have to read those if you have them. I didn't print those ones out.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, the oral is listening, listening, talking, discussing, questioning. People with this preference like listening to people with authority or knowledge, to podcasts, videos, audiobooks, interesting spoken examples, like jokes, verbal instruction, verbal feedback, self-talk. And then in the talking category is they like putting their point of view, using their voice in different ways for emphasis, explaining their understanding to others, recording their voice, discussing, talking things over, brainstorming ideas, questioning, arguing, debating. Oh my God, that's my kid.
I was just going to say, so do you kind of realize now why she like sometimes is like, no, Mom, I'm right. It's because that's how she like gets her feelings across.
Yep.
Oh, that's wild.
Commenting on the ideas or opinions of others, joining and contributing to discussion in person or online, using their phone to have conversations. In a nutshell, the written word is not as meaningful as the words you hear or you want to discuss with someone.
Oh, this is you too.
It's me too.
Okay, I'm like, you're also reading all about yourself right now.
For sure me. Yes. But for education, it has its own category, and it says attend classes, discussions, tutorials, leave spaces in your notes for later recall and filling with details you may have missed, explain your notes and new ideas to another person, me all day, every day. Reduce 3 pages of your notes to 1. Read aloud your summarized notes and record and listen to them, which is kind of cool because I didn't think of that before. Ask questions and discuss topics with your teachers or other students. Obtain feedback about your understanding by listening to comments from others. Use rhymes and, mnemonics.
Oh, mnemonics. You don't pronounce the M. Mnemonics.
to remember concepts.
So like the word house would be what you remember, and H means hot, O means ocean. I don't know. I'm just making it up,
No,
it's
isn't
like
that
ways to remember stuff.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Rhymes though, that's like a song.
Yes.
Or could
Which
be.
I think is so funny. You're so against those, and it's probably like
They're
the
so
best
annoying.
thing. They're so annoying.
Practice previous exam papers and speak your answers aloud, or imagine talking with an examiner. So when people talk, listen completely. Yes, that's us. That's us right there. It has workplace too, but like we don't need to go over that.
Well, I can do the other ones because I have like examples for the other learning styles. It's not on those papers.
What did Mila come out with, or you guys come out with on that one?
We didn't take that one. I just had them take their other one.
Yeah.
Okay, well actually I lied. I took the one that you had Molly take, the VARC one, and I got multi something.
Remember she came out with that mild aura was her
auditory.
The VARC one, and then on the education planner site she was the percentage of mostly auditory.
Okay, so she got auditory in both tests, which makes sense. Okay, multimodal, multimodal, which is a mix of all learning styles. So when I took the VARC test, exactly the same thing. I scored the same in all categories. So I don't have a strong, and that's how Mila is. So if you're like that, have fun. Do it all, because you never know what's going to work one day and won't work the next day.
But that like goes along with your personality too, and like why I feel like you also jump around with curriculum too.
Yeah,
because it's
100%.
like, well, yeah, because you're adaptable. Like you can adapt your surroundings.
But I get bored
like, whatever
too.
you're using. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I get bored too, but I don't know.
Yeah. So it just depends, like my learning style. But I will talk about Nico for kinesthetic.
Yeah.
So it says so the test we took, which I know you can't see if you're not on video, but like see off the charts for kinesthetic, it gives me an actual like report for him. So it says find ways for him to interact more with worksheets by having him underline specific letters or words, or highlight areas that interest him. If he needs to sit still and listen, allow him to hold something while you speak. Not only does he need to touch, but he needs the ability to move and manipulate objects to illustrate concepts and ideas. Nico will be able to remember what he learns much more effectively when he's able to involve his whole body in learning. In fact, he will thrive when he is able to follow instructions to build or create something. And then it says, let him act things out, let him play games, build models, experiments, and activities that allow him to move. So that was for a kinesthetic learner.
Yeah, well, it's all about the action. Like, action has to be. Now, if you even like compare that to like public school, and you wonder why a lot of the kids who are like busybodies and like constantly can't sit still, and they were always like labeled as the ADHDers or like, you know, it could just be their learning style.
100%. And like what's crazy to me is neither of my girls nor am I that learning style. So from the beginning, I was like, how am I going to teach this freaking kid? He doesn't sit down. But when I adjusted to certain things, then we have gotten better with that. So that's his. And then Emma is visual. So that would be the last one, I guess, to cover. So Emma is amazing at remembering what she sees. She will prefer written instructions, pictures, charts, graphs. Emma learns by observing, so be sure to give plenty of opportunities to step back and take in what she sees. But be careful, she is also easily distracted by visual images. So too many images, if they're not related to what you're teaching. So like if Emma was in a classroom that had like all those posters on the walls, it would distract her from actually learning. She is also likely to be a sight reader who enjoys reading silently. Do you know how long I fought with this girl about audiobooks? Do you know? I'm like, just listen to the book. And she's like, Mom, let me go read the book in my room alone. And it was so hard for me to like let that go.
Yeah.
And then, so she learns best through videos, posters, PowerPoints, diagrams, graphic novels, like just all the things. I was like, you're not allowed to do this. There it is.
Yeah. And I mean, does she like to draw?
100%. She has been drawing since she could hold a pencil.
Yeah.
And she draws really good.
That's Molly too. And she was she was 25% visual, but she has some of those visual like characteristics too. She's very good with like maps and like stuff like that as well. Whereas I don't know, I a lot of the things that people tell me I don't necessarily always remember. So I struggle with the whole like auditory thing, but maybe that's part of my ADHD that pops out in there. But like you could tell me a number and I'll forget it by the time like I need to know it by. Right. Especially like people can memorize their credit cards. No, I can't. I can't memorize my credit card number. Yeah. Or I can't, they'll be like, ask me a dumb question and I'm just like, what? Like even someone asking me how to freaking do the alphabet backwards, I'm like having to sit there and have to think about it, and like alphabetizing anything has never been my strong suit, but because I guess because it's a lot of visual, but
yeah, that's what I was going to say. That seems like a very visual task. Yeah. So I think that this is like crazy and like super eye-opening, and I think everyone, especially if you're homeschooling and you're trying to teach a child, this may be the issue. Like I said, I spent a year fighting with Emma. If I would have just read this, I would have been like, oh, she's not just being a preteen. She's not just trying to get on my nerves. Like she's telling me how she's going to like do this thing best. And I chose like not to listen to that. So
yeah, which is, I mean, it could, it could help you or it could confuse you because like you said, you do a lot of things in what you're strong at and confident in. And so when you're trying to spin that around and do something out of your comfort zone and your comfort level, it's a challenge. It's hard. It's not necessarily something that's going to come natural to you. But I guess in that moment, you really just have to trust the process, Like for Nico, if he wants to hold something while I think it was like during instruction or something. Like they learn if you're just holding
while
something.
I'm teaching, I'm supposed to let him hold stuff, which normally I'm like, stop touching that. Put that down.
Yeah. So it's really just like trying to examine the behaviors we've seen in our kids that we may have tried to shut down and realize like maybe there's a purpose for that. Maybe there's a reason they're doing that.
Yeah. And this is why we homeschool. Right? Yeah. Because we can adjust. Because I would be nervous sending Nico into a school. I know he would not do well in a public school environment because they can't cater to these learning styles. They cater more to, I think, like, I don't want to say a Mila, but like someone that's a little bit adaptable, can kind of learn all the things, but it's very visual. Like it's very like, look at the board and do this. That's how we knew Mila needed glasses. Her kindergarten teacher was like, she can't see the board, but like there's no way public schools can adapt to all these. And so there's probably so many kids struggling, but there's also kids struggling in homeschool because if we don't know this, then we're just like thinking they're acting out.
Yeah. Well, and even, I mean, my mom made a comment not too long ago saying Molly loves reading out loud her books. And I'm like, gosh, that's why.
I'm dying right now. It's all like full circle.
Like that's why, because she's able, and I'm like, she's able to comprehend what she's reading because she's reading it back to herself.
Yeah.
By reading it out loud. Yeah. Which is just, I mean, obviously that's not something that like you could just do everywhere and anywhere in your life. Like, but it's not that gonna have to read something and be quiet for like, long.
But maybe like audiobooks would eventually be something, like on a plane, you can't read aloud on a plane. I mean, you could, but she may be transitioning to like an audio type book thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're both very much like, we like to have the physical thing in our hand, but like if it is that way down the road, so be it. At that point, I know she's able to read and understand. So I think it's just so interesting.
Well, I'll tell you something else. So also when I was in college, I don't know if I said that in this episode, but I was we had these things called cohorts, which were like video lectures of the teacher just talking, but like there was nothing visually on the screen. It was really just somebody talking. And I told Nick, I was like, I need to buy the course book. Like, I physically need this book to read because I don't understand a word that they're saying to me. And Nick and I were going to college at the same time in some of the same classes. And I had to physically buy these books that you didn't have to buy. And it's like, they looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, I can't just, which is weird because I listen to audiobooks now, but like for like information wise, I need to physically see it on paper. And so, yeah, I think it's very interesting how this all plays into like just everything we do in life.
So Ashley's going to link it all in the box below where you guys can go and take the task. And I just asked her, I didn't even like have her fill in the link. I just verbalized it to her and then gave her like the different selections. And like, obviously they're going to do their best. They might not understand like what some of them are saying. Cause like even on the bark one, that was a little like, there's probably other versions that we just didn't take. So just do your research and try to figure it out. Cause like we're mind blown. So
yeah, completely mind blown. So I'll link as much as possible. But like Nikki said, definitely search. If you want like the custom reports like I have, I'll link that, but you do have to pay for it. And I don't know if it's worth it to pay for it when there's a bunch of free resources. So that's it. That's all we have for this episode.
All right. See you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
We want to hear from you. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so let us know your thoughts on today's episode. Share your topic suggestions or ask us any burning questions you may have. Your input shapes the direction of our podcast, and we're here to create content that resonates with you.
If you enjoy listening to homeschool stories, curriculum reviews, advice, struggles, and overall mom life, this podcast is for you. But so is our YouTube channels.
Don't forget to check out our individual channels. We share even more content, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at our lives. Thanks for listening.